Today we're sitting with Tyler Bradshaw. He's the executive director of the Nuxhall Foundation. Thanks for sitting down with me. I don't know if the groundhog saw a shadow or not, but it's feeling like it almost is spring.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Maybe a little nippy,
Yeah.
but and we're sitting at a baseball field, so that's
right.
about spring as it gets.
That's right.
Tyler, you're a guy that strikes me as someone who loves his job. I might be wrong, but I think I'm right. Why do you love your job?
Gosh, I had a career prior to this. I was in college admission for 10 decades, but I spent my time outside of work coming down to the Miracle League fields. I was a sports announcer in the area and announced for a couple different teams, but what I saw down here at the Miracle League fields was truly just second to none. It was that kind of heart-changing experience. Every time I came down, it rejuvenated my soul every time I was here. So when an opportunity came about, knowing we needed to project the longevity of this place, to make sure that we were protecting the sustainability plan and things like that, when the opportunity came about to say, hey, you've got an opportunity now to lead this organization, it's like, no doubt, let's make it happen. And it's been fun ever since. My motto with any job is are the gray hairs worth it, right? Every job, regardless of how good it is, you're going to get gray hairs. I just hope I have some hair rather than going bald. Gray hairs are better than none. But one of the things I've always asked is it worth the stress? Is it worth the investment? And in this job specifically, yep, there are stressors just like any other job, but every single gray hair feels worth it down here because you see the impact it makes with families, with the individuals we serve. You see the power that Joe Nuxhall's legacy's had in this community. So the assessment is right. I love every second of it.
Well, you bring a positive attitude to it too.
That's right.
So it's I don't know if all my gray hairs are worth or not. I like to think maybe most of them are.
When you win.
Yeah, when you win. Yeah. I don't know, some of the losses. You fight hard enough. It's worth it.
You learn.
You talked about Nuxhall's legacy.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about that? I know a lot about it myself, but what people here love Joe Nuxhall and the Nuxhall family. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm a product of that as well. I grew up, I was a horrible athlete. I was like the bad kid on the t-ball team, which I didn't even know was a thing until you are that kid. But I always loved sports and had a real passion for athletics. But knew that was never going to be my path. And Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxhall were kind of like my idols growing up. I used to sit in the backyard. I had a Sony boombox, and I would, every summer, you'd listen to Marty and Joe, and you'd soak up that experience. And Marty and Joe, as you know, having listened to them for years, they created this family with every listener all across Reds country that I don't think will ever be replicated by another broadcast duo ever again. And it was because, in my opinion, they were this odd couple. You had Marty, who could he was smart, he was witty, he had this he could have a sharp, critical tongue at times, which I think people respected because they knew that he was going to be honest with them. And then you had Joe, who was the cheerleader, who was the constant encourager, who was always so positive and upbeat. And they truly, their friendship, they loved one another deeply. They had a partnership, being on the road for 6 months out of the year. I mean, they grew together with one another. And Joe has been gone now for 15 years, which is amazing because when I'm out in the community, I still have people who come up, and I know this happens to Kim Nuxhall as well, and they'll have a story about Joe that they want to tell about a personal interaction, something he did to help their family, whatever it is. And the fact that he's been gone for 15 years but still feels so alive in this community, it's astounding. But it's because for the almost 80 years that he was here on this earth, he made such a positive impact on people and was so encouraging that legacy is going to live on long after I'm gone. People are still going to be telling stories about Joe Nuxhall and how he helped their family, and I think that's made all the difference for what we do in his name. Yeah,
like a life well lived, if there ever was one, for sure.
Yeah.
So how did this place, we're at the Miracle Fields here, and that's one part of the Joe Nuxhall Foundation,
right.
The Joe Nuxhall Miracle Fields. How did this get started?
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. So Kim Nuxhall, Joe's son, was an elementary physical education teacher, but really he calls himself a character educator. He was focused more on character education in his classroom in the gymnasium more than he was, or just as important as the physical education that he did. He was watching an episode of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel that aired on HBO and saw this segment about the very first Miracle League field that was built in Conyers, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. There was a young girl named Lauren who had brittle bone disease, and she used to bring home flyers from the school that would, for baseball leagues, soccer leagues, basketball leagues, and her mom would have to tell her, Lauren, you can't play. And the community and the family came together and said, what if there was a place that she could play? What if we built a field that was safe, that was inclusive, that was accessible? So the community comes together, builds this field. The very first Miracle League field is born there. And Kim watches this segment. It was a different era. You couldn't just pull it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
He actually had to call HBO and said, can you send me a DVD of the segment? They send it. And this was when Joe was still alive. So Kim takes the DVD over to Joe. They both watch it. They're both very emotional guys. And of course, they look at each other with tears in their eyes and they say, somehow, some way, someday, we're going to build one of these in our community. Joe passed away in 2007, and the fundraising really ramped up after that because I think people wanted to find a way to honor Joe's legacy and what he stood for. And really what lit the fire, there was a $500,000 matching grant from the Hatton Foundation and Walt Lunsford that really just kind of set the fundraising ablaze.
Snowballed it.
Took off from there. But the facility you're looking at, the incredible part about this, at base level, when this was opened in 2012, this was a $3 million facility. $2 million of that is donated in-kind labor, materials, equipments. The trades unions came out in a way that I'll never be able to truly thank them for. These guys came out during the recession, and they just donated their time, and the only thing we could pay them with was pizza for lunch. And they'd come out, they'd pour concrete, grind concrete, electrical work, painting. They did everything, and they were truly lit on fire, I think, by this mission and what this place could stand for. And then 2012, we opened. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary here this past summer.
Congrats.
But thank you. But it's been an incredible journey, an incredible story, and lots of good things to come.
So all the negative stuff you can hear on the news, and maybe that's not true. People came here, Little Fairfield, Ohio.
They did.
Pitched in for free.
They did.
And built this place.
Yeah, and it still happens, which is the incredible part to me. One of the things I love, we've got these awesome video boards, but when the facility opened, we only had the one Jumbotron. Taylor Brzezinski Field actually didn't have one. And we had somebody who stopped out, one of our donors, on a Saturday morning and witnessed the game, saw what was happening, and said, well, we want to do something to help. And we were, listing some things that they could potentially get involved with. And she said, well, we noticed you don't have a video board on this side. And I was like, yeah, we don't. And they're pretty expensive. And she said, let's make it happen, and wrote the check. And there it is. Those are the kinds of not to use a pun, but miraculous moments that happen down here on a regular basis, is that good people come together. They want to get involved because they see the impact and the power this has for families. And we're excited to keep that going for a long time.
Yeah, and as you know, my daughter plays here.
Yes,
and,
one of our favorites.
Yeah. And I never came here before that.
Yeah.
And what can you tell to people who have never been here? And I can speak to it. I don't know how many times I've got a little tear in my eye. Almost got one now just watching a kid smile. That more so on, the kids are having fun, but I know how it is to be a parent of a child that has, extra issues they're dealing with. You might not think they're ever going to be able to play something. So what do you think it means to the kids, and then what do you think it means to the parents?
It's sometimes it's hard to capture into words, and that's why we tell people, come out and see and witness this, because it's a spiritual experience when you're out here. I mean, you start to see life, I think, in a different way. And I had mentioned to you about being a sports announcer, and I was announcing high school and college athletics, and you'd see parents losing their mind on a coach because their kid, got a couple minutes less playing time than somebody else. You'd see somebody lose it on an official, right? And when I came out here, I started to understand what sports could be, what they could mean for people in an environment where there were bigger things to be concerned about. This place centers me on a regular basis. I come out here and I'm reminded of what parents who have children with special needs go through. I see stories of people, our oldest player in the league, Freddie Hoover, in our adult league, is 79 years old. And I see him come out and hit a stand-up triple. And I'm reminded that no matter how old we get, we can still learn, we can still grow, and we can still experience life in incredible ways. Watching your daughter, Lila, one of my favorite moments is when she comes out of the dugout and turns to the crowd and says, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
I mean, to see her celebrated by a group of people on a weekly basis and encouraged.
Yeah.
And I know it's tough. I get emotional thinking about it too. I mean, we have one family that's adopted 4 special needs children, and just the challenge alone, Josh, for them to get out here on a Saturday morning, to have to get everybody together in a van that meets all of their different needs and accommodations, to come out here, for us to be able, for those families to just say for 1 hour a week or whatever it is, you don't have to worry about not being able to do something, that you're going to be able to come to this place and know every need is served, everything's going to be available for you there, and to just have that encouraging environment to feel uplifted. I think that this is the fuel on a Saturday morning that keeps people going through the rest of the week. And it's, you know, for anybody who hasn't been out, come check the place out, because you'll be changed forever.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, I jumped right into it. We never really said what the Miracle League was. I mean, some people can kind of glean from what we've been talking about, but it's kids with special needs are coming out here and playing, but adults too. You said there's a 79-year-old, so there's an adult league. When is that played?
Yeah, the adult league plays on Friday nights, and typically we will start players in the adult league on at age 20, and then runs up, you know, as long as they want to keep playing. And it's, you know, we are thankful for our partnerships. One of the unique things about the Joe Nuxhall Miracle League Fields is we've got lots of community partnerships that are helping us deliver the experience. So our youth league is actually run by the Great Miami Valley YMCA, and then the adult league is run by a group called Therapeutic Recreation for the Disabled. They're very different experiences if you've never been out. So the youth league is extremely instructional. Everybody bats through the lineup. Everybody runs the bases. You know, there's no 3 outs. There's no called balls and strikes. The adult league is instructional, yes, but also competitive. They call balls and strikes. They call plays at any of the bases and at home plate. You've got some players that come out and they know their average. They know how many hits they've had this season. There's a tournament at the end of the season, and they crown a champion. And it's good to see that, I think, difference in variety that we offer to individuals. But you know, one of the more memorable experiences I've had, Larry Tischler, who's our vice chairman and just an incredible guy. He's been a champion for Special Olympics and the special needs population in our community for a long time. But we were standing here one night on a Friday night, right up there at that railing, and we were just looking out over what's happening, seeing these adults, some as young as age 20, others into their 70s, out playing the game of baseball. And Larry just leaned over to me and he said, "Tyler, let's never forget this moment, because if it weren't for this place, where would all these people be on a Friday night?" And that statement rocked me, and it stuck with me for a long time, because is there a chance they'd be out doing other things? Without a doubt. Is there also a chance that they might be at home, that they might be by themselves, that they might not have the connection with other friends and families? So this place provides more than a recreational opportunity. It is the central piece of life for many of the families that come out here. We've got families now that they travel together. They go, you know, we had a group of families that got together and went to Disney World last year. Like this has provided much more, or just as much on the social, emotional level for individuals as it has from a recreational perspective.
Yeah, and I try to tell as many people as I can, my wife even more so, try to give you guys shout outs to anyone we can who's never been here, to tell them to come. Not so much for you guys, but for them, because I think it's an amazing place, and just the facility itself is top notch. I don't even think is a strong enough term. And everyone I've ever brought here, they're just kind of amazed at how nice it is. And I know you guys have there's a ton of volunteers every week when I'm here.
Yeah.
Give some ideas of, you know, there's volunteers that are helping every week, but then I know you guys have younger, like high school kids that come in, their buddies. So kind of explain some of those opportunities for people that might not know there's a need.
Yeah, I mean, volunteers are truly the lifeblood of an organization like this, and just to deliver 2 rounds of games on a Saturday morning, we're talking probably near 50 volunteers to make that happen, between folks in our concession stands, buddies that are going to be out on the field actually assisting with players. We've got individuals operating our audio-visual booths, our sound equipment. We've got individuals in our mascot. We have a mascot, Joey, the can-do kangaroo, and thank God for volunteers. Oh, I was in it yesterday for about 4 hours, actually. We did some elementary school assemblies, and it's hot.
Yeah.
And that's why I immediately say we got to find volunteers for the mascot for June, July, and August, because I'm not getting roped into it. But there are so many people who just want to be involved in this mission. And the great thing is, one of the things we've encouraged people to do is if you want to find a way to volunteer here, we call it volunteering, right? But just come out, sit in the stands, make some signs, make a bunch of noise, whatever it is, and come encourage our players because they feed off of that. The families are encouraged by it. We have one of my favorite stories out here, and I know that she's one of Lila's favorites, but Miss Mary.
Yeah.
Mary was somebody who connected with our organization and just stopped out on a Saturday morning. No player in the leagues. To my knowledge, nobody that would be serviced in her family by our organization.
Yeah.
But she comes out and says, I just want to cheer for your players. And we said, here's a seat, have at it. And she, by week 1, will learn every player's name. She sits in her sun hat right there in the stands and just goes crazy for every single player.
Does.
Yeah.
And we know, I didn't even know volunteering was a thing when me and my wife first noticed it. She cheered for 2 or 3 innings, and then she cheers louder than anyone. And then she got up and said, I have to go to the other side now. And so then I realized, she doesn't have a grandkid here. Yep. She's just here cheering. And you kind of tell it's like the highlight of her week almost, seems like. It's an amazing thing. So thanks again for sitting here and talking to me. And I'm not going to I'm going to give you an opportunity. I know you got some new things you're doing. So here's your commercial piece. You guys are trying to build something new. Explain what that is and how people can help.
We are. So this is a great facility and a great opportunity, but as you likely know, in Southwest Ohio, it is usable for 5-6 months out of the year, realistically. So there has been this need for an indoor facility for many years, and actually Joe he started the dream with the idea of having an indoor facility to serve children in the community. So the plan is to launch the Hope Center, which will be about a 30,000 square foot indoor facility located right here on the site. And the goal, the vision with this is to become the world's most comprehensive recreational campus for athletes with special needs, and this will allow us to do that. So there'll be an arena that'll be home to the Butler County Special Olympics, but aside from basketball, they'll do things like fitness classes, they'll do karate classes, they'll do nutrition classes with families, lots of things. There'll be recreational space, things like a wheelchair trampoline, a wheelchair ball pit. They're working on a wheelchair zip line, which freaks out the insurance companies, and lots of things related to that. So there'll also be a community meeting room where we'll host outside organizations to come in and see what's happening here. So the plan is to launch the formal fundraising campaign for that this summer, summer 2023, and then hopefully break ground this year and open the building in 2024. But it'll allow us to serve these families in a year-round capacity, to take away some of the challenges that they deal with in going to other facilities that aren't necessarily designed for them specifically. It's a big ask. We're looking at about a $7 million project. But we've already started fundraising behind the scenes. We've raised a little over $1 million. We had a beautiful, I'm not including in that, we had a $500,000 grant from the Nuxhall family, Kim and Bonnie and Phil, in honor of Joe and Donzetta. So we're out talking with companies and individual donors to try and make that happen. But if you go to our website, which is just nuxhallmiracleleague.org, there's plenty of details, or if you want to donate and bless our organization with a gift, there's an opportunity to do that too.
And I'll put a link in under the video on the YouTube. I don't know if I have any rich corporate donors, but if I do, help out if you can.
Yes, please. It makes a difference.
Or little amounts help too, I'm guessing.
They do. They all add up, and that's one of the great things out here is we have people who say, well, gosh, I'm not the kind of person who could just all of a sudden write a 5 or 6 figure check, but I can donate $25 a month. I can give $100 a month, something along those lines, and that stuff all adds up over the years to make a tremendous difference, and that's why we've been able to keep the place looking as good as it has. I mean, we have folks come out, we tell them it's 10 years old, and they're shocked. But, Kim Nuxhall is down here working like crazy every single day.
He does.
He's on his lunch break now.
I can't believe he's not here right now.
He'll be back soon. But I mean, Kim and our team, we have this kind of Disney-like obsession with maintenance and the experience and making sure that the place stays looking as good now as it will, 30 years from now. So yeah, all those donations help us keep that going.
And I can't believe I even forgot. This is just more for me. I love putt-putt. My wife does that. But before I wanted to be a lawyer,
you had a good putt-putt career, right?
Yeah, I don't know about a career, but I've always liked putt-putt. I used to go play at the Nuxhall putt-putt when they had it at the driving range. Before I was an attorney, when I was younger, I thought maybe I'll just own a putt-putt one day. But you guys have a putt-putt here, and I haven't even asked about that yet. So, and some of the animals and, gadgetry or whatever came from the old
a lot of history
putt-putt.
over there. That's
it's an awesome place.
Yeah, it's 18 holes, wheelchair and walker accessible, and we've even got some adaptive or assistive putters over there for individuals in a wheelchair who might not be able to hold a putter. It's a putter that hangs on a pendulum, and they can line it up and then tap it. And we just got our very first prototype on the robotic putter. It's actually controlled by like a remote control device, so individuals can wheel it up, line it up, they can adjust the pressure, and boom, they can putt. But all of our players in the youth and adult leagues, they're honorary members of that mini golf club. They get a putter and a ball, and they can come play anytime they want. And that's been a real blessing too, because the baseball leagues are great, but they're not for everybody. Especially one of the things we've found, individuals with autism or some sensory challenges, sometimes the baseball league, and it can get a little chaotic. Sometimes that can be too overwhelming. But the mini golf, you can come whenever you want. There might be no families. There might just be a handful of families. You can space out. You can play the same hole, 10 times if you want to. So that's added a completely different element. And like you said, there are about four obstacles on that course that came from Joe's old mini golf course down the street at Joyce Park. The vulture, I think there's a hippo, a frog.
Dinosaur.
The dinosaur. They all came from the old course. So people like you and me who got to experience that golf center in its heyday, it's cool to be able to walk back there and kind of have that memory, that feeling of nostalgia all over again, and another great way to honor Joe and his legacy.
So I'm glad you brought it up, because even the games are not, the baseball is not for everyone, but there is kind of something here for everyone. Like my daughter, I don't know that she even cares so much about the game. She likes waving to the crowd and trying to be the center of attention. So it's
she's good at it.
Yeah, she's good at it.
She's cute enough. That's what.
She likes getting the medal at the end.
Yes, the medal's exciting. I've actually got a good picture of her just holding on to that medal, and you can tell how proud she is. And
it's a fun place, though, and something for everybody. Anything else people should know, or anything you guys need specifically?
Well, we just appreciate people like you and the families who come make use of this place for validating and encouraging us. This was a very ambitious dream, and the next one's even bigger. But you all encourage us on a daily basis by coming out and taking part in what we do and having fun. And I'm the guy who, I'm fortunate. I know, you're an attorney. I'm sure you get lots of interesting emails every single day, but I'm in a unique position that on a daily basis, I get a handful of emails from people who just want to write and say thank you. And folks in my type of role, that doesn't always happen, but I think this place brings out the goodness in everybody. We've all got good, we've all got bad within us, and this place, I think, allows us all to repress that bad as much as we can and be good to others. And I'm thankful that you all give us the opportunity to do what we do, because it's the blessing of a lifetime for me and for our team.
It's awesome. It makes your gray hairs worth it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yep.
All right, Tyler, thanks for sitting down and talking to me.
Yeah, this is awesome, brother. Keep it going.
That was good, man. That was great.
Awesome. Good. Hey, you do a good job.
Well, you're talking, man.
I was worried I was going to get interrogated by the counselor over
everybody
here.
Everybody tells me that, but I always feel like I'm not saying that much. I just get you talking, but that's the skill.
Yep. No, you did a great job.
Just make them comfortable.